What is up, guys? It is TJAI, and today I have an updated appointment setting chatbot for you guys that automatically books the meetings for the prospects, as well as notifying them in their emails and in their calendar. And on top of that, it qualifies the prospect and gives them useful information to make them want to book the meeting in the first place. Now, if you want to know how exactly I built out the entire workflow, including the connections to Stack AI to get the AI responses, make sure you watch my previous video, which should pop up in the icon above, and I'll leave a link in the description below so you guys can see that process. But today, I'm going to be showing you how to automate the actual scheduling of the appointment, which is something I didn't do in the previous video. It only sent the customer a link for booking the appointment. So in this case, I'm going to be going through the entire process of my chatbot. I'm then going to show you the integration, the workflow in Make as to how you get this, how you get the Google Calendar scheduling, and then I'm going to be showing you how I integrate it into Voiceflow. So first things first, we're just going to go over the actual booking process inside of my website, scalemybiz.ai. It's going to ask you a few qualifying questions. As you can see, do you have a business to integrate AI into? Yes. What's the nature of your business? E-commerce. Now, what's your monthly recurring revenue? Which is a qualifying question, 20 to 30K. And let's just say we're looking to improve customer service. What then happens is it sends an API call to Stack AI with those variables that the users just put in, and it gives them a unique response for their situation. So this is not pre-filled. This is something that the AI produces based on the customer's responses. As you can see, we can help by implementing AI-powered chatbots. They provide instant support, answer FAQs, assist with order tracking and returns. And they, by leveraging this technology, you can enhance customer satisfaction, improve response times, and reduce the workload on your customer service team. This will lead to better customer service experiences and lead to increased sales. Does it sound like it will help? Absolutely. Then you qualify for the free prototype based on your responses, and then from here you just type in your details, and then it should book in that meeting. So what's the best email to contact you on? This is the one. And then it's going to ask for the link. Let's just go with etsy.com, the link for the business. And what date works for you? So let's just go tomorrow at 3 p.m. Great, that's all booked in. Please check your calendar/email for confirmation. We look forward to helping you scale your business. Now you can see here that appointment has been set inside of my calendar, and as far as the email that I've just used, it's now it's now sent them the notification, it's sent them the email, it's now inside that calendar. And as you can see, consultation of to 10K for e-commerce in need of customer service, and as you can see on both sides, it's been scheduled in. And yeah, so it can read natural language. So saying something like tomorrow at such and such a time, or next week Thursday at this and that a time, it will automatically book it. Now I'm going to show you guys how you can integrate this into Make so that you can avoid scheduling conflicts and get this all up and running inside of Voiceflow. So first things first, we're going to be opening a scenario. So again, if you don't know what all of this is, if you go into Make and then click on scenario, you can create a new scenario, and then you can select all these different nodes to create your workflow. So first things first, we're going to be pulling up a webhook. To get that, you can just go into search applications, you type in webhook, and it will just pop up if it loads after a little bit. So if you just type in webhook, it should just pop up. Okay, so my computer's deciding to lag a little bit, no worries. So you can see here, down here, once you click on webhook, you'll get these 3 different options. Now the first thing you want to do is create a custom webhook. Now with this custom webhook, what you then want to do is go into the Scale My Biz, but go into Voiceflow and then you want to create all the parameters that you want to pass through your make integration. So we want the date time start, which is these are the variables that are accepted to create a booking. So I'll take you through exactly what all of these variables are. So date time start is the date time for the booking, so that just includes the date in a standardized format and the start time for that meeting, and then the date time end, which is essentially the end time for that meeting, so from 2 to 3 p.m. let's say. And then you've got the name, the business type, the business need, and the email, and then you want to capture the response output, which is, again, I'll show you how all of that works. So all these different parameters are going to be passed through your webhook, and that's going to determine the data structure or the data that you're pulling in to create your booking. So obviously you're going to need the time it starts, the time it ends, the name, the business type, the business need, and the email. And then obviously, as I showed you before, when you actually look at the consultation, you can see that inside the meeting, it gives you a it automates, 1, the title, and 2, the agenda for the meeting. That's why all of these details are important. And then from there, when you redetermine that data structure and you run that request, so let's just get rid of this very quickly. You click send request, and then you just select these details, you generate that, and then inside of make, okay, let me just redetermine the data structure so you guys can see how it works. So I'm going to run all of these details in by just clicking send request, which tests your API. And before you actually get to that, you want to copy and paste the link that it gives you here into your API connection, which you can get inside of dev API. And then you copy and paste that here, you put your parameters in, and then you send the request. So this is what a date time looks like. So you've got the month, the year, the month, and then the date, and then the time. And then you've got the same thing here, and then you've got the name for the customer, the business type, the business need, which all goes into creating the agenda and booking the actual meeting. You generate that. You should expect a response 200, which is exactly what we're expecting. And then here, as you can see, it's been successfully determined. Fantastic. And then from here, what it does is it then searches your Google Calendar. Now, you want to search up Google Calendar inside of the modules as I've shown you here, or the applications. So once you've clicked on that, or once you've pulled that out, you want to click the search events. So here you want to click search events, which basically determines whether or not there is already a meeting booked for that time. So you search the events using the date time start and the date time end. Those are the only variables you need at this point. And in order to make that connection, you just want to make sure that when you click add, essentially you're able to sign in with Google, log in, select the calendar that you want to use, and then click start date, end date. So again, it's date time. And then if there are no conflicts, it will book the event. And as you can see here, you then select create an event. And then in order to create the event, you then make sure it selects in detail. You select the right calendar ID. The name here is consultation with name, and that name is pulled from the webhooks. So here you've got the name, and then you've got the start date, which is the date time start, and then you've got the end date, which is the date time end. Again, this is all pulled from your webhooks. And then from there, you can select duration instead of having a date time end. And then from here, if you want to put in the description, you can put consultation with name for business type in need of business need. And then you just select that. So name, business type, and business need. And then you want to select show advanced settings. You want to make sure that you send reminders. So use the default reminder settings. And then you want to select the name of the person and then the email of the person. And then from there, make sure that you're sending the notification to all the guests, and then you want to select add Google Meet video conferencing. So what that does is it sends the notification to both parties. It gets the agenda populated with the details, and then it automatically adds in the Google Meet video conferencing. Now, as you can see, I've got this thing called a router, and you can just go in Tools here and select Router. And what the router does is it allows for two different outcomes depending on whether or not there is already a meeting booked for that time. So here, I've selected for the router, if the total number of bundles equals 0, which means that there is no meeting for that time, then you can then create the event. However, if the total number of bundles is greater than 0, which means just, 1 or more, it will then create the webhook response of busy. And then inside of the workflow, you can see here that if the response that you get from the API is busy, and remember, we wanted to collect that response from the API down here, I've labeled it capture the response output and apply to the variable response. If you don't know how to create a new variable, you can just select here, create new variable, and then you can name it anything you want. And then, so as you can see here, you then create a condition, which here, if you go on logic and then go in if, you can create a condition. The condition is called busy. So if response is busy, then you can see here, it goes to, sorry, that time slot is booked, please suggest another time slot. And then it will go back, it will capture a new date, and then it will pull all that data again, and then it will book the meeting if it's no longer busy. However, if there's no match, which is basically else, it will then go through to book the meeting and confirm it inside the chatbot. So if response is busy, say, sorry, that time slot is booked, else, book it all in. Fantastic. So as you can see here, if the total number of bundles is 0, it will then go down to create an event. But if I run this, so let's just say I know I've got a meeting booked at, let's say I know I've got a meeting booked tomorrow at 3 p.m. So let's try and run the actual, let's try and run the API call here for the request. So let's send that request, and let's say for tomorrow, what day is it tomorrow? The 6th. So change this to 06. I have a meeting booked at 3 p.m. So let's try and book the meeting at 3 p.m. and you will see how it will come up with the response of busy. As before, you saw it just came up with 200. This time it will generate the response busy. So here, the output is busy. And as you can see here, so let's just make sure this is all good. And if I run this and then resend that data, so it's going to resend all the data that you've just seen. You're going to see the term busy, and that's because it's gone through, it's checked the date. You can see, okay, there is a meeting booked already at that time. It was created at this time, 7:41, about 10 minutes ago. So the router is going to make sure that it comes down to give the webhook response busy, right? Otherwise, if we try and do this again, but with a date time that is not busy, so let's say we want to now rebook it, and we want to book it for, let's just say 4 o'clock to 5. Let's generate that. Okay, let's not do that one. Let's say 4:30 to 5. It should come up just as, okay. Let's run this again. Okay, let's just go with a different date altogether. 4:30 to 5. I shouldn't have any meetings at that time. Yep. And then generate that. And as you can see, there is no output of busy for that specific time. So as you can see here, it's now booked the meeting. And now from 4:30 to 5, you now have a new meeting that's been booked with Tender for e-commerce in need of customer service. And then if I try and run that again, is going to come up with the output of busy, and it's not going to book the appointment. So if it's not busy, which means total number of bundles equals 0, it will book. If total number of bundles is greater than 0, it will give the output of busy. And then again, we go over here. If the output is busy, then time slot is not booked. Now I'm just going to show you guys quickly how to make sure that when people put in an input such as, tomorrow at such and such a time, that you get the right input or the right output. This is exactly how you do it. So I know some of you guys don't have Voiceflow Premium, so I'm just going to show you guys how you do it without Voiceflow Premium. And that is, first of all, you want to make sure you go to worldtimeapi.org, which is basically a website that allows you to use the API to get the current date time. So you use this link here. You copy and paste that into your the get function inside of the API call. You set the response to date time, and then you can apply it to today's date. So you pull the response date time, which is the date time that you get here. And then what it then does is, as you can see there, it's now booked that meeting. And what you get now is a date for today's date. The reason you want to do this is because AIs absolutely suck at understanding the date and time right now. So it's very hard for you to say, let's book something next week, if you don't give it some sort of context. And this is the only free API that's very easy to use that I could find where you can use it in order to book the time. So once you've got that time and you've pulled that response today's date, you then want to set the AI, which is you can find here. And in the next node, you then want to create variables, date time start and date time end. So in this prompt, I then tell it today is today's date, which we've pulled from the API, the world time API. And then here, you then say, given today's date, return date, which is going to be what the user puts in, as BST date time in the following format. Do not include pretext either, such as here is next week in this such and such date time, or in this such and such format. And the reason you want to add all of that is purely because, again, AIs absolutely suck at doing their job. So you want to make sure you're explicit in do not add any other text apart from the date and time that the person is looking for. So then if we run this, let's say today's date, let's just copy and paste the response that we'd get from World Time API. So the date time is going to be this response here. We're going to enter that in, and then the date that we want is, let's say, let's just go with tomorrow at 9 a.m. and generate that. It will then give us purely just the date time, 06, which is tomorrow, 09, which is tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And then from there, what you then want to do is get that response, which is going to be date time start, and add 1 hour to the time given in this specific format. And again, you just want to make sure that you tell it that never add any pretext and only return the variable requested. Now, one thing you're going to want to do is set it to Claude Instant 1.2. Do not bother using ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo or DaVinci. They just will not work. They are inconsistent and they are poor. All right. And it's the same thing here. I just copied and pasted this prompt into the system just to make sure that it doubles down on what its job is. And then from there, you can then create the booking inside of Make. As you can see, all these different details that I put in, date time start, date time end. And as far as the name, business type, and business need, and email, that is all captured earlier in the booking process. So here, when the user puts their name, you can see can I get your full name, and then it captures the full name. And then here you can see, can I get an email address? It gets the email address. And then as far as the business type and whatnot, it pulls that all over here. So they can select one of these buttons, it sets the business need to whatever it is that specific need is, or if they're looking for something else, they can type it manually and then it captures that response as that variable. And again, if you want to know how this is all done, watch my previous video. And then you can get the monthly recurring revenue, the type of business they're operating in, which is obviously business type. And as you can see, this is how you can integrate Make and Voiceflow, and Make into Voiceflow in order to automate the entire booking process, have it all sent out as notifications on both parties' ends, and at the same time avoid all scheduling conflicts. So I hope this video has been super useful to you guys. Leave a comment below if this has been useful to you, and also leave a comment below if you have any suggestions on the kinds of things that you'd want me to cover in these AI videos. It's not just related to chatbots, it can be automations, it can be anything, whether it's content creation, anything generative AI. And also, if you are a business looking to integrate AI into your workflow or into your business processes, reach out to us at scalemybiz.ai or any of my socials, which are all in the description below, and we will help you scale your business with AI. And if you qualify, we'll even provide you with a free prototype, so there is no guesswork as to whether or not AI is actually going to be useful for your business. Thank you guys. It's been TJ AI, and I'll catch you in the next one.